Évora, Portugal, 2nd of November 1959. Unexplained, glowing objects are seen flying over the town in broad daylight. Dozens witness this strange sight. But what follows is even stranger. A mysterious white substance, like cobwebs, rains down over the town for almost 4 hours. Nobody knows what this is or where it came from, only that it coincided with the appearance of unidentified flying objects.
What in the hell is this? Because they looked like spiders' webs.
I think people don't realize how powerful Mother Nature can be.
This may be a simple case of science, planetary science.
12 p.m. It begins another ordinary day until local headmaster Dr. Joaquim Amaral receives a warning. There is something unusual in the sky.
Dr. Amaral is working at his office normally and is called suddenly because some flying object is over the city, a big object. They ran out and saw in the sky a shape, whitish blue, is the first object that crosses over a clear, very clear sky.
The first object they witness is some distance away, moving slowly.
Amaral took notes. The direction is from northeast to southwest direction. It's a high altitude. And what's happened is that Amaral wants to see it better.
In order to get a clearer view of the object, Dr. Amaral fetches a telescope kept at the school. The teachers erect the telescope in the courtyard. José Inácio Brito, a design education teacher, is one of them.
Vi uma bola brilhante, não é? Não tinha, não, o objeto em si não tinha definição, brilhava. Tinha umas zonas meio escuras, mas brilhava. Mas nada sei, não tem.
The shining object passes across the town and disappears. But then another object is observed above them.
Now the real drama begins, is with the second object. The second object has a particular way to fly. The second object appears just over their heads, across the sky, and when the object is about 35 degrees in angle with the horizon, they pointed the telescope over the object.
The mystery object appears to be high in the sky, but they struggle to see it clearly through the telescope.
Olhava para aquilo mudava, havia uma face tipo tom, não é? Mas depois dava assim uns arranquezinhos, não é? E a gente jogava aquilo e dizia, pá, não, estão a tocar no telescópio. Não, era aquilo que dava o toquezinho. Depois verificou-se que aquilo de facto tinha uns arranques, depois parava. Não é? E nessa altura viam e viram todos, até alunos, observaram aquilo.
They noticed that object composed of one sphere above and underneath a circular shape. But that circular shape undulates, and that's quite curious and amazing.
Dr. Amaral is said to be convinced that the unidentified objects are alien craft, and rumors spread around the school. However, aviation expert Chris Yates believes there is a more down-to-earth explanation found in the military aircraft of the late 50s.
The immediate post-war years gave rise to an awful lot of development in the aviation industry, both the civil side and the military side. You know, we were developing new fighter jets and long-range bombers and so on. Lots of people have been used to seeing the aircraft types of the war years, but not necessarily the aircraft types of the 1950s as they were developed into the operational types of the 1960s.
If what Dr. Amaral and the teachers saw was nothing more than a military craft, does this explanation account for the way the object moved? A report made after the incident in 1959 states that it seemed to have an undulatory movement, jellyfish-like. In the top part, it possessed a very brilliant sphere that stands out from the rest. Many experts today believe that what Amaral is describing is a weather balloon. Weather balloons were very common in the 1950s, used by both the civil and military aviation industry to measure wind direction and gather scientific data.
Looked at from a distance through a telescope, a weather balloon would look much stranger than looking at it close up. And it does undulate as it's climbing to altitude. All of these things come into the equation, and yes, very possible that we're talking about something as simple as a weather balloon.
The UFO sighting at Évora would probably have been left unexplained as a series of misidentifications if it weren't for one extraordinary detail. A strange, cobweb-like substance falls from the sky, covering the school and many other parts of Évora and the surrounding region. It would remain a mystery that baffles scientists for more than half a century.
After the passage of this object, begins to fall from the sky like cotton, a very light cotton.
At around 12:30 p.m., white filaments begin to fall out of the sky over the school. It quickly becomes nicknamed Angel Hair due to its delicate, magical quality.
Aqui é que caiu aquela. Estava aqui, estava este pato todo aqui totalmente branco. Depois veio a rapaziada, os alunos todos caíram aqui para verem as teias de aranha. Chamavam eles, as teias, onde é que estão as teias? E cada brincava com aquilo à sua maneira.
Fatima Ernesto is a 17-year-old student at the time.
Começámos a ouvir grande burburinho. O diretor entrou na sala de aula e disse para nós, que éramos as mais velhas, sairmos. Outros estavam com medo. Entretanto, o diretor veio aflito dizer-nos para nós não levarmos as mãos nem à boca, nem ao nariz, nem aos olhos. E assim fizemos.
Unknown to the teachers and students in the school, they were not the only people to experience the Angel Hair phenomenon. 100 kilometers away at an airbase called Sintra, the same white substance also falls that morning. General Tomas Conceição Silva is 25 years old at the time and vividly recalls the incident.
I arrived here that morning on the 2nd of November. There were all the other pilots scattered around the place, and we were talking with each other, waiting for the aircraft to be allotted to each one. And then we looked into the sky, and there were small filaments, like spider's web, coming down, falling down from the sky. And when they got into our hands, with the warmth of the hand, they would just dissolve. We didn't understand what that was.
But it wasn't just Silva who was confused. Dozens of witnesses are said to have seen the Angel Hair on the same day.
Mais ou menos, né, cheia dessas teias brancas. Né? Mas deu um impacto. Muitas pessoas ficaram a pensar naquilo. Né? Porque no café a gente ouvia falar, o que olha isto de manhã, o que se deu à volta do meio-dia, não sei o quê, e tal.
What happens next is even more extraordinary. During the 4 hours the Angel Hair falls over Évora, Dr. Amaral manages to capture a sample from the patio of the school. He then drives to a friend's house. Waiting for him there is a locally renowned astronomer, Admiral Conceição Silva. The Admiral was an enthusiastic amateur scientist. Today, his son, who also witnessed the Angel Hair fall at Sintra, remembers the Admiral's surprise at what they saw.
I remember the astonishment of my father and Dr. Amaral, because that was quite odd. It was nothing, no one knew what that was, what that cell was.
They put that preparation under the microscope and saw this thing.
It was a small cell with arms, but it was not 6 arms, either not 8 arms. 8 arms would be probably a spider. 6 would be an insect.
As part of the tests on this strange creature, Amaral takes photographs of the angel hair.
This is the central body,
The images show something with tentacles.
showing the complete central body and the tentacles.
Though they were to have a shock when trying to place these between the microscope slides.
This thing rises up his arms, let's call arms, and sustain the glass like an intelligent being or even an insect do to not be crushed. This is a living thing, is the first conclusion of Amaral at the time.
So what could this living thing be? Amaral continues to examine the angel hair over the following months, hoping to answer the question. But he comes to a dead end. Tomas Conceição Silva remembers their frustration.
It's very odd. Nothing that we know in Earth, in the Earth, nothing that we know so far. So at the moment we cannot explain what it is.
Amaral decides to take the sample to the University of Lisbon to let them examine the angel hair and try to identify it. But even Portugal's top scientists are baffled. One of the possibilities proposed by a leading scientist at the university acknowledged it can be admitted that such beings could come from the extra-atmospheric space or from another neighboring planet. But what do modern-day scientists believe the angel hair could be? Cell biologist Francisco Carapiso thinks it may be one of the billions of tiny sea-dwelling microorganisms that live in the Atlantic Ocean. These include microscopic jellyfish larvae.
Vendo as fotografias e comparando com o que nós sabemos de alguns organismos biológicos existentes, há uma grande semelhança entre o organismo que foi descrito pelo Dr. Amaral e as estruturas de medusas jovens, não é?
If the angel hair specimen was indeed a marine organism, the question still remains, how did it get there? Meteorologist Thomas Schaffernacker has investigated other strange cases where living creatures appear to fall out of the sky.
I can't explain what happened in Évora, but I think people don't realise how powerful Mother Nature can be. It's very easy for us to imagine twigs or leaves falling out of the sky, but for fish or frogs to fall out of the sky, that must be an incredible sight.
He believes it is entirely possible for living creatures to be scooped up in a whirlwind and carried aloft.
The whirlwind then moves further downwind and drops the wildlife in a town village. Must be an amazing sight.
Raul Berenguel is a professor at the University Fernando Pessoa and a UFO researcher. He studied the case since 1978. He believes the explanation is more likely to lie in the field of atmospheric science.
We have a lack of knowledge in the planet atmospheres, let's say above the 14 kilometers to 100 kilometers. We say that space starts at 100 kilometers of altitude. We have no planes, no balloons that go to investigate this area in the planet.
Berenguel believes that the angel hair has always existed in the upper atmosphere as a microscopic creature as yet undiscovered by science.
The more recent studies look and verify that microorganisms really do exist in the upper layers of the atmosphere. This is probably something from the kingdom of vegetables that floats at a very high altitudes and by some motive, some physical motive, tends sometimes to fall.
So far, Berenguel has unearthed 9 similar reports of angel hair falling in various parts of Portugal dating back to 1857. What took place in 1959 is the country's first, recorded in significant detail. Teachers, scientists, and an admiral all experienced firsthand the angel hair. In a final twist to the Évora event, in 1978, a fire takes place at the University of Lisbon, destroying the sample of angel hair. Its contents are lost forever, allowing no opportunity for advances in science to determine its origin.
We asked the very renowned Portuguese biologist, if we get nowadays the sample so destroyed by the years, so aged, could you do something? The scientist told us that yes.
But that will never be. All that remains are the photographs and dozens of eyewitness accounts of UFOs that flew over Évora and the still unexplained angel hair mystery.